Then I'm going to introduce Jeane. Jeane is earned her MLS from the University of Maryland. As an Army spouse, she moved a lot and worked as a librarian in a variety of libraries, including medical, public, government, corporate, and even a museum library. Jeane has been with Prince William Public Library for over 8 years and started the book club Central Reads at Central Library in October of '06.
Well, they asked me to talk about how we started the new book club, and I sort of got volunteered. I was on vacation. And the staff meeting is, there has been suggestions that we have another book club at Central. We have a science fiction book club. They wanted one more general. And since I wasn't there, everybody said, Jeane reads all the time, she'll be perfect. So I came back and was told to set this up. The steps I took, first of all, we had to figure out about publicity. And we had to back off about 3 months, because in order to get your publicity running and to get it into the calendar of events and that kind of thing, it wasn't like we could just do it right away. The second thing was to go right to our person who books our community room. And because the budget year had already started, we go from July to July, they had already booked all the rooms pretty tight. And I have my own schedule. So it was a matter of working with the community room schedule, trying to figure out what would work every month for a whole year. And then you run into summertime with the children's programs. So it took a while to pinpoint when we could meet. And that really restricted our time. We meet for 1 hour, and we really can't run over. We used to be even tighter because the children's program came in right after us, so I had to be cleaned up and out so that the kids could come in and get set up for their program. So it is tight, but I have found out that the people who come like it. They know we're not running over, and they're on a schedule, so they're happy. Then we had to decide what books we were going to advertise to get people in for the first couple of meetings. And we didn't really know who was going to come. Now, I wanted something during the day, because we have, here in Manassas, we have Jesse's Book Club, which is a mystery book club, and it meets in the evenings. We have the Science Fiction Book Club, which meets on Saturday afternoon. So it's like, well, let's try for something midday. Maybe we'll get moms whose kids are off at school and they want to do something that might make their brain work a little bit. Maybe we'll get retirees who don't want to drive around in the dark. Who knows who we'll get? Well, so we scheduled it for 1 o'clock. Third Wednesday of the month. Well, it turns out we did get a couple of older senior citizens come in, but they really haven't been back all that much, once in a blue moon. Mainly what we have are the moms with kids. That's just 1 or 2. We have some coworkers who come in on their lunch hour, and we encourage brown bagging because it's at 1 o'clock. We also have some people who work strange hours, nurses. We have a nurse, and she works nights and stuff like that. So she comes over during her time off before she's going to work or after she's gotten off work. So we do have part-timers come in, which is really nice. When I was saying we were trying to figure out what book to select for the first time, it was very, very hard. We didn't know if we'd get men, women, old, young. So I tried to pick something turned down beautifully. We read Year of Wonders about the plague. we were sort of in a disaster mode for a while there. We were just reading all these horrible disasters. But there are great characters in Year of Wonder, but there's also, you know, what happened with the plague and everything. There is a plot in there, there's a bad guy, you know, the whole thing. Then one of our groups said, well, I like nonfiction. And it turned out that she said, why don't we try nonfiction? And people suggested things. Well, the first suggestion was Angela's Ashes. Okay, famous book, blah, blah, blah. It was the worst discussion I ever had. Half the people didn't finish it. They were so disappointed. They thought it was a real downer. And the two people who recommended it didn't come to the meeting. So anyway, so we're trying. Oh, and then I went to a meeting in Fairfax County, not on book discussions. And I talked to someone, they said, oh, we alternate. 1 month we have a fiction discussion, and the next month we have a nonfiction. So I thought, well, okay, that sounds pretty good. So I've been trying that for about 4 months, and the nonfiction is really hard. But it has surprised me at the same time. People would say, I had a hard time reading this book, or I didn't finish it, but they come and they have something to discuss. We read Isaac Storm about the hurricane in Galveston. The people who like all the novels found it really hard to get through the discussion about meteorology and weather forecasting. If they held on and got to the back where there were all the stories about the survivors and what happened to them, then they were happy. So basically, I think what I have to do is, if we do have a nonfiction book, I have to describe it before we give it out, so people don't give up. Or if they don't like the nonfiction, you know, that they can skip, that they can feel they have the blessing to skip. That they don't have to sit there and finish the whole thing. So we're still working on this. It's still this way, that way, and I still take recommendations from the group. I have one lady who, we kid her and we say, she hated it, so everyone's going to like it. You know? She hated the book, but she always sparks the discussion because she points out the parts that made her crazy or that she hated, and that's good. So people have to feel free to come to the group even if they don't like the book. And that's what I try to tell them. You didn't like it, come, tell us why you didn't like it. We need to know this, you know. And just because I liked a book doesn't mean you have to like it.